Conclusion. Nearly 1 year has flown since this notable pilgrimage was ended, and as I sit here at home in San Francisco thinking, I am moved to confess that day by day the mass of my memories of the excursion have grown more and more pleasant as the disagreeable incidents of travel which encumbered them flitted one by one out of my mind. And now, if the Quaker City were weighing her anchor to sail away on the very same cruise again, nothing could gratify me more than to be a passenger, with the same captain and even the same pilgrims, the same sinners. I was on excellent terms with 8 or 9 of the excursionists. They are my staunch friends yet, and was even on speaking terms with the rest of the 65. I've been at sea quite enough to know that that was a very good average, because a long sea voyage not only brings out all the mean traits one has and exaggerates them, but raises up others which he never suspected he possessed, even creates new ones. A 12 months' voyage at sea would make of an ordinary man a very miracle of meanness. On the other hand, if a man has good qualities, the Spirit seldom moves him to exhibit them on shipboard, at least with any sort of emphasis. Now I am satisfied that our pilgrims are pleasant old people on shore, and I am also satisfied that at sea, on a second voyage, they would be pleasanter somewhat than they were on our grand excursion. And so I say without hesitation that I would be glad enough to sail with them again. I could at least enjoy life with my handful of old friends. They could enjoy life with their cliques as well. Passengers invariably divide up into cliques on all ships. And I will say here that I would rather travel with an excursion party of Methuselahs than have to be changing ships and comrades constantly, as people do who travel in the ordinary way. Those latter are always grieving over some other ship they have known and lost, and over other comrades whose diverging routes have separated from them. They learn to love a ship just in time to change it for another, and they become attached to a pleasant traveling companion only to lose him. They have that most dismal experience of being in a strange vessel, among strange people who care nothing about them, and of undergoing the customary bullying by strange officers and the insolence of strange servants, repeated over and over again within the compass of every month. They have also that other misery of packing and unpacking trunks, of running the distressing gauntlet of custom houses, and of the anxieties attendant upon getting a mass of baggage from point to point on land in safety. I'd rather sail with a whole brigade of patriarchs than suffer so. We never packed our trunks but twice, when we sailed from New York and when we returned to it. Whenever we made a land journey, we estimated how many days we should be gone and what amount of clothing we should need, figured it down to a mathematical nicety, packed a valise or two accordingly, and left the trunks on board. We chose our comrades from among our old tried friends and started. We were never dependent upon strangers for companionship. We often had occasion to pity Americans whom we found traveling drearily among strangers, with no friends to exchange pains and pleasures with. Whenever we were coming back from a land journey, our eyes sought one thing in the distance first, the ship, and when we saw it riding at anchor with the flag apeak, we felt as a returning wanderer feels when he sees his home. When we stepped on board, our cares vanished, our troubles were at an end, for the ship was home to us. We always had the same familiar old stateroom to go to and feel safe and at peace and comfortable again. I have no fault to find with the manner in which our excursion was conducted. Its program was faithfully carried out, a thing which surprised me, for great enterprises usually promise vastly more than they perform. It would be well if such an excursion could be gotten up every year and the system regularly inaugurated. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. The excursion is ended and has passed to its place among the things that were, but its varied scenes and its manifold incidents will linger pleasantly in our memories for many a year to come. Always on the wing as we were, and merely pausing a moment to catch fitful glimpses of the wonders of half a world, we could not hope to receive or retain vivid impressions of all it was our fortune to see. Yet our holy day flight has not been in vain, for above the confusion of vague recollections, certain of its best prized pictures lift themselves and will still continue perfect in tint and outline after their surroundings shall have faded away. We shall remember something of pleasant France and something also of Paris, though it flashed upon us as a splendid meteor and was gone again. We hardly knew how or where. We shall remember always how we saw the majestic Gibraltar glorified with the rich coloring of a Spanish sunset, and swimming in a sea of rainbows. In fancy we shall see Milan again, and her stately cathedral, with its marbled wilderness of graceful spires, and Padua, Verona, Como, jeweled with stars, patrician Venice, afloat on her stagnant flood, silent, desolate, haughty, scornful of her humbled state, wrapping herself in memories of her lost fleets of battle and triumph, and all the pageantry of a glory that has departed. We cannot forget Florence, Naples, nor the foretaste of heaven that is in the delicious atmosphere of Greece, and surely not Athens and the broken temples of the Acropolis, surely not venerable Rome, nor the green plain that compass her round about, contrasting its brightness with her gray decay, nor the ruined arches that stand apart in the plain and clothe their looped and windowed raggedness with vines. We shall remember St. Peter's, not as one sees it when he walks the streets of Rome and fancies all her domes are just alike, but as he sees it leagues away, when every meaner edifice has faded out of sight, and that one dome looms superbly up in the flush of sunset, full of dignity and grace, strongly outlined as a mountain. We shall remember Constantinople and the Bosphorus, the colossal magnificence of Baalbek, the pyramids of Egypt, the prodigious form, the benign countenance of the Sphinx, Oriental Smyrna, sacred Jerusalem, Damascus, the pearl of the East, the pride of Syria, the fabled Garden of Eden, the home of princes and the genii of the Arabian Nights, the oldest metropolis on earth, the one city in all the world that has kept its name and held its place and looked serenely on, while the kingdoms and empires of 4,000 years have risen to life, enjoyed their little season of pride and pomp, and then vanished and been forgotten.